On the day of the swap, it was going to be the K1600 in the lead, followed by a Suzuki V-Strom coming along with us, and me a sweeper. Once I discovered which way they were going out of this new neighborhood for me, we headed out away from the city to find some open spaces. It's been over a year since I swapped bikes with a friend to try out his RT. That RT and my RS have a lot in common, like the same engine, the 1250 Boxer. The RS and the K1600 have a lot less in common. A year ago, I was interested to see what the differences would be with bikes that share so much in common. Weight was an obvious difference. That RT is about 80 pounds heavier than my RS. I've always been concerned about weight. I know the cliche, the feel of the weight goes away once you get going. That's mostly true. But how the weight is distributed makes a difference. The bigger fairing, the speakers, the large electric windshield, and programmable buttons and charging plugins on the RT all sit up high. That changes the center of gravity compared to the RS. And even if the weight goes away once you get going, you're not always going fast, and you're not always going slow in a straight line. Low-speed maneuvers in traffic, parking lots, gas stations, U-turns, and stopping on road shoulders in various states of disrepair. All of it brings the weight right back and quick. It's hard to find a bike that satisfies everything you want. Now that I'm riding longer distances, the needle is moving towards touring more than sport. So naturally I'm now more curious about BMW's Grand Tours, like the K1600 with its six-cylinder inline beast of an engine. I've been on the road with the K-bikes. I've seen how they perform. I've talked with iron butt riders who praise their power and comfort during the long miles. So when an opportunity came up to swap bikes with a K-bike rider, I arranged it right away. The big question for me about the K-bike was once again the weight. The K1600 is about 240 pounds heavier than my RS, 160 pounds heavier than the 1250 RT I tried a year ago. I know in some respects I'm overdoing this anxiety about weight. Regardless of weight, comfort is in whatever you get used to. I remember back when I had a Triumph Tiger Sport 660. That bike weighs about 450 pounds, which is 80 pounds lighter than my RS. I had the same concern about weight when getting the RS, but it didn't take long for me to adjust, and now the RS weight is comfortable for me. Can I do the same adjustment on a bike that's 240 pounds heavier than the RS? Is there a limit to how much more weight I can adjust to? You know the K1600 is a heavy bike when BMW has to give it a reverse gear. Is that enough of a red flag right there? There's another motorcycle cliche that says, don't get any bike that you can't pick up by yourself if it tips over. I go to the gym, but I don't think I want to be bench pressing a K1600 anytime soon. We found a little parking lot for the swap. This was a much bigger deal for me than my friend. He rode RTs for years before getting his K-bike 5 months ago. It was no big deal for him to ride my RS. If anything, he said it reminded him of the grunt, rumble, and vibration of the classic Boxer engine. He likes the change to the inline six. The two engines are quite different. Here's how the RS sounds. And now here's the K1600 sound. Right away, starting up the bike, you hear and feel the difference. The inline six is super smooth, no vibration. It sounds more like a specialized power tool than an engine. Until you rev it, then it will announce its power. It took me a couple tries to get used to the friction zone on the 1600. The sweet spot is much narrower than on the RS. It doesn't take much movement of the clutch handle to engage gears. After stalling a couple times, I got that difference dialed in. I found the custom Sergeant saddle seat uncomfortable when at a stop. Once I got going and sat back into the saddle, it was all right. But when I flat-footed the ground, the sides of the saddle dug into my legs. My friend said he intends on replacing that seat with a stock seat. We headed west towards Baghdad. My friend had to get back by 1 p.m. for an appointment, so we weren't going all the way there. And that was okay. About 20 miles would be enough for me to see what I needed to see this time. I'm much more cautious when I'm riding someone else's bike. The last thing I want to do is drop it if I discover it's not for me. Some road construction gave me an opportunity to try out a little low-speed handling. Everything went fine, even if I wasn't adjusted to the extra weight yet. Once we got going, we settled into a nice cruise. Farther on, the road offered up a few twists and turns, plus I even got to pass a car for added fun. It's certainly true, the K1600 can be described in 3 words: smooth, powerful, nimble. I was surprised to find the front end of the bike, the fairing, the windshield, the gas tank, all of it is less in the way, less an obstruction to the road view than on the RT I was on a year ago. The view from the saddle made it seem like I was on a smaller bike than the RT. And the 1600 loves to swing on sweepers and dip into curves. It tracks effortlessly as the road shifts this way, that. The gearbox is more finesse than the RS with a lighter feel to the gear changes. I found I didn't need as much foot pressure to quick shift. The brakes are awesome, of course. BMW had to do that to counter what the 6-cylinders can put out. And the front end didn't sink dramatically on braking. The whole bike just seems to settle down together. The button to raise and lower the windshield is easy to get to. I've gotten used to looking over the windshield, not through it, so I kept this screen just below eye level. Even there, I felt no wind. Putting it all the way up would really give maximum wind protection. The bike's power comes on so smoothly and without vibration that it's easy to be going much faster, much quicker than you realize. In other words, it would be very easy to get traffic tickets with this bike, so figure that in with the cost of ownership. It's undeniable the K1600 is a tough touring 160 horsepower shaft-driven monster in a refined luxury package. It doesn't need to make a lot of noise to command the road. It'll glide you across country and back, while spoiling you with the expected conveniences and added features. 10.25-inch color TFT display with connectivity and integrated map navigation, USB-C charging storage for mobile phones, fully LED headlight with adaptive cornering lights, 4 configurable favorite button cluster, dynamic traction control, 3 ride modes: rain, road, dynamic, engine brake control, dynamic electronic suspension adjustment with automatic load leveling, hill start control, tire pressure monitor, reverse assist, heated grips, heated seat, side cases, top case, an audio system with sat radio and sound profiles, keyless ride, plus an e-call emergency call button. In 2012, new to the K-Series, BMW launched the K1600 GT Sport Tour and K1600 GTL Luxury Tour. Its competitor, the Goldwing, is 80 pounds heavier with 40 horsepower less and less load capacity. The 1600 makes you wonder, how can anything this big accelerate this hard or track at speeds with confidence, not just through curves but hairpins? It's a luxury tourer that doubles as a hot rod with a perfectly balanced engine, responsive and stable, although yes, the bike is hefty. Being stuck in stop-and-go traffic is not its thing. Just looking at it, you wouldn't imagine how much torque it has. At one press launch in South Africa, a rider demonstrated this torque by pulling a wheelie on a GTL. There's 4 models: the GT, GTL, Bagger, and Grand America. 8 feet long from nose to tail, with a 7-gallon fuel tank. I didn't try the reverse gear. It's a little weird how it operates. With the engine running in neutral with the side stand up, press the R button on the left handlebar, wait for the R symbol on the TFT, then hold the starter button on the right handlebar to move backwards. I've never needed a reverse gear on the RS. That bike is called a sports tourer. The 1600, a full luxury tourer. My ride wasn't so much about comparing them. It was all about discovering something new.
Wow.
Very nice.
After 20 miles of riding and stopping and starting the 1600, I was impressed, but I still wasn't used to the extra 240 pounds. It had only been one ride. The important thing is, I think I could get used to it. The question now is, do I want to? If my goal is to tour with power and comfort, is the K1600 the best way to do that? Are there any other bikes, lighter bikes, that would be easier to adjust to and give an equally good touring experience? I can sum up my K1600 ride in 2 ways. At a stop in slow maneuvers, the K-bike felt like moving a cruise ship. But once it got going, no matter straightaway or twisty, the K-bike feels like a magic carpet ride. Is the magic carpet ride worth the work to adjust to the added weight and deal with all the slow speed situations going forward? I don't know. I don't think I'm done trying bikes. Another friend suggested I try out the GS 1300 or GSA. The slimmed down GS 1300 weighs 523 pounds. That's 13 pounds less than my RS. The GSA is 393 pounds, just 57 pounds more than my RS. That's less than the RT I tried a year ago. Maybe dual sport and adventure would take less adjustment than the K bike, but still deliver both great touring capability plus new off-road options. We headed back and stopped off for a quick bite to eat. It was easy to praise the K1600. Not so easy to decide if it's right for me. I know now I could adjust to it, just like I adjusted to the RS after the Tiger Sport. The direction I take now probably hinges on a test ride, or another bike swap. I think next time I need to swap with a GS 1300.